the Christ child. The two walk and talk as their surroundings become bathed in golden light and the donkey occasionally grabs nibbles of grass. In the evening, they walk up to a building. A fire casts warm light on the porch. A man walks with his arms out to the couple. A woman comes out from inside the building and embraces Mary. Inside, Joseph and Mary look around a dimly lit room. She lowers her headscarf. People talk and embrace in the crowded room. Mary looks bewildered. Scarf lowered, Mary is approached by another lady, who leads her to sit down by the fire. The lady offers Mary a wooden bowl of grapes, cheese, and bread and a drink. Joseph climbs a ladder in the crowded room, and stops at the top without stepping off. In torchlight, he sees men eating and drinking at tables while women scamper around. He climbs back down the ladder. Joseph shakes his head, sighs, and shrugs. He glances to his left. Mary sits by the fire looking at him. He goes to her and sits down. And lifts his arm to wave for someone. A woman comes and crouches in front of them. Mary grimaces. The helper gets up. Joseph comforts Mary, who shakes her head as her face contorts and her breathing increases. She nods. Joseph grasps her hand and helps her stand. Mary leans on Joseph as they are led through the room by the helper. Firelight bounces off them as they walk by people. Embraced by Joseph in the stable, Mary stops and leans forward to the ground. She rolls herself over and sits, grimacing. Joseph helps her lay back. Her face glistens with sweat as she tightens her neck, purses her lips, and tightly closes her eyes. Joseph shakes his head. She pants. Her eyes open and close. Her gaze falls on Joseph. Her breathing slows, her eyebrows raise, and her face relaxes. Her hands clutch Joseph's. He stares at her. She smiles and grimaces at him as her breathing increases. She throws her head forward as her body tightens. The helper enters the room. Through a tattered cloth door covering, the helper readies white linens as Joseph leans over Mary. A night sky with two clouds. One star shines brighter than the others. A baby is passed from the helper to Mary. Mary's hair is disheveled, and her gaze never leaves the baby as she embraces him. Mary's face glistens with sweat and she smiles. Her fingers caress the baby's hands as he cries. She gently bounces the baby in her arms. She looks up, face quivering, at Joseph, then back to the baby with a smile. Joseph blinks repeatedly as his open mouth forms a smile. Mary gazes at the baby as she rocks him. The baby is on the ground being tenderly swaddled in white linen by Mary. She gently scoops him into her arms, stopping to gaze at his face. A bright blue and then white light floods their faces. They gaze upward at it. Other people are engulfed by the light. They look to one another and then to the light. The sheep are unbothered. People's faces stare, astounded. They begin walking toward the source of the light. One of the shepherds smiles. The light drowns the astounded crowd in white. In the stable, the swaddled baby sleeps in a manger. Mary rests her arm on the stone of the manger and watches him. She looks up as a line of people enter. She quickly pulls up her head covering and looks back to Joseph. The older man leads the group towards Joseph and Mary. He kneels. Joseph comes to Mary's side. The young boy from the sheep field kneels beside the old man. The baby's mother nods. Mary pulls back on the cloth around the baby's head. People watch and smile. The mother smiles. The old man nods. Joseph walks through a wooden door. Joseph motions towards the men. Mary stands and pulls on her headscarf. A little boy, young Jesus, looks from behind a stone pillar. The bald man turns back to Mary and Joseph. Mary nods. The bald man and his companions turn. The man kneels in front of the little boy who is bathed in sunlight from the window. Grinning, the man lowers himself below Jesus. His face scrunches and he bows. His companions also bow. One bowing man in the back holds a chest. The bald man raises himself. Blinking, he smiles. He tilts his head with soft eyes. People begin to pull things from a chest. They are passed to the bald man who presents them to Jesus. Mary kneels next to him and places her arms around him. Her and the boy look at the gifts. A leather bag with myrrh. A wooden box with frankincense. A wooden box with gold jewelry. The bald man begins to weep. He looks to a companion who places a hand on his shoulder. The bald man buries his face in his left hand. He looks up to Jesus, lowers his hand, and tilts his head. Joseph watches. Mary joins him. He places his arm around her and she rests her head on his chest. Young Jesus looks up and smiles, then looks back down. Mary and Joseph smile. The crowd continues to present gifts. Jesus